The courtyard of Westbrook High buzzed with noise, students laughing, shouting, gossiping, but in the middle of it all stood Emily Carter, frozen. Her red dress swayed slightly in the breeze, her eyes glassy with tears as Brandon Hayes, the school's star quarterback, towered over her. His voice thundered with cruelty. "You think you're better than everyone, don't you, just because your mom's rich?" he sneered, his fists clenched. Emily tried to hold her ground, but her voice failed her. Her books had already fallen to the ground, and the sting of humiliation was worse than the fear. Around them, students whispered, some smirking, some uncomfortable, but none brave enough to interfere. Then came a voice, calm, firm. "That's enough." Everyone turned. A tall man in an olive-green shirt approached, his dark eyes steady. Jacob Miller, single dad, former soldier, now working as the school's security guard. He stepped between Emily and Brandon, one hand gently shielding the trembling girl. Brandon laughed mockingly. "Stay out of this, old man. You don't know who I am." Jacob's voice dropped lower. "I don't care who you are, walk away." The courtyard went silent. Brandon puffed his chest, but when Jacob's gaze didn't waver, steady, unflinching, carrying the weight of war and survival, he faltered. With a frustrated growl, Brandon shoved past, storming off as students whispered behind him. Emily let out a shaky breath, tears spilling down her cheeks. Jacob crouched slightly so their eyes met. "You're safe now," he said softly. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. He only nodded, getting her quietly away from the stairs. For him, it was instinct. Protecting people was all he knew. He didn't realize the girl he had just defended was the daughter of Catherine Carter, one of the most powerful CEOs in the city. That night, Jacob sat at his small kitchen table, bills piled high. His daughter Lily hummed on the couch, drawing with crayons. At only 9 years old, she was Jacob's whole world, the reason he endured long shifts and sleepless nights. But the job barely covered rent, and every time Lily's asthma acted up, the medical bills crushed him a little more. He rubbed his temples. "I fought in wars, and yet I can't even promise my daughter a secure life." The next morning, Jacob was called to the principal's office. His stomach tightened. He already knew why. Brandon's father was wealthy and influential, and men like Jacob usually lost these battles. "Jacob," the principal began nervously, "there's been a complaint. The board is reviewing your behavior yesterday. You may have to step down." Jacob's jaw tightened. He thought of Lily. Losing this job would destroy them. But the office door opened. Emily walked in, her eyes determined this time, and behind her came Catherine Carter herself. The principal nearly jumped to his feet. "Mrs. Carter, I wasn't expecting." Catherine's voice cut like steel. "My daughter told me everything. This man protected her when no one else did, and you're considering punishing him." The principal stammered. Catherine didn't let him finish. "If Brandon Hayes' behavior is tolerated while Jacob Miller's courage is punished, then this school will lose more than its reputation." The room went dead silent. Then she turned to Jacob. Her gaze softened. "Thank you for protecting Emily." Jacob nodded humbly. "Just doing my job, ma'am." Days later, Catherine invited him to her office. "I've done my research, Mr. Miller," she said. "You served 12 years in the army. You're raising your daughter alone. You've given more than most men ever will." Jacob shifted uneasily. "That's the past. Right now, I'm just trying to survive." Catherine leaned forward. "Then let me give you more than survival. Be head of security at Carter Enterprises. Better pay, benefits, stability." Jacob hesitated. He didn't like taking handouts, but Catherine's tone wasn't pity, it was respect. He accepted. Life began to change. Jacob moved Lily into a safer neighborhood. For the first time, she had her own room, with space for her drawings. Emily visited often, bringing gifts and laughter. She and Lily bonded quickly, like sisters. Jacob, though cautious at first, began to see Emily as more than just a CEO's daughter. She was a lonely girl who finally had people who cared for her. But Brandon wasn't finished. His pride had been wounded, and his father blamed Jacob for embarrassing their family. Rumors spread. Brandon tried to corner Emily again, but this time she stood taller. I'm not afraid of you anymore, she told him. Brandon sneered, but the whispers around him were different now. Everyone had seen who the real coward was. Months later, Catherine hosted a grand gala for her company. Jacob, in a simple black suit, stood quietly at the back, Lily's small hand in his. Emily waved from the front row, her smile brighter than ever. When Catherine stepped up to the podium, her speech began about business, but then her voice softened. True leadership, she said, isn't about titles or wealth. It's about courage, about standing up for what's right when no one else will. My daughter was protected not by privilege, but by the quiet strength of a man who expected nothing in return. Her eyes found Jacob in the crowd. Sometimes heroes don't wear medals. Sometimes they're single fathers doing everything to raise their children with honor. The room erupted in applause. Jacob lowered his head, humbled, while Lily looked up at him proudly. "Daddy," she whispered, squeezing his hand, "you're my hero." Jacob's throat tightened, tears burning his eyes. For all the battles he had fought, all the scars he carried, this was the only victory that truly mattered.